Here we are. 11 months later, here I am. So I'm just going to share what is my testimony. And, there's that song out right now. We sing it at church all the time, testimony, and it kills me every time because everybody's testimony is so special and so different. I'm just so thankful that my testimony is mine, and it's mine to share for a reason. So way back when, I grew up in upstate New York. Some people know that, some people don't. Little tiny town nobody's ever heard of, 3,000 people in the whole town. But my home life growing up was not fantastic. I didn't have, I had a mom and dad. They were married. They're still married right now. But it still wasn't great. It wasn't a loving home. My mom was very loving. My dad was very not loving, just very emotional abuse, physical abuse like you couldn't even imagine. So that's what I grew up knowing was what home felt like. And as a kid, you just, that's what it is to you. You think that that's what home is. So I was not grounded in my faith. I did attend church seldomly. My aunt kept us kind of in touch with God. My dad's philosophy was, I'm not going to choose your religion, but I'm also not going to teach you about religion. So just figure it out for yourself. And so as a teenager, that's not real easy to do, especially in a little tiny town. And everybody in New York State is either Catholic or Methodist, FYI. That's it. That's all you get. So that was weird. So my aunt introduced us, me and my siblings, to a church that was more of a non-denominational, very similar to Faith Promise, actually a little probably more out there than Faith Promise. And it just really felt home to me whenever we would get to go. But that was maybe once every couple of months. We'd go consistently for a couple of weeks, and then my dad would be like, y'all don't need to go. And so it was always the back and forth, never a firm foundation. A lot of people in this room probably know what that feels like when you don't have a great life, when you don't have the foundation given to you by your parents, and you have to just try to figure it out. So that was my growing up. I was married at 20. We got married. Our pastor, the pastor from the church that I went to, agreed to marry us after, we did our church counseling and stuff. And that was kind of the only God that was in our marriage. We didn't attend church regularly. We didn't take our kids. I have 2 boys. They're fantastic. You'll see a picture of them later. But we didn't teach them about church. We didn't teach them about what God could do for them. We didn't teach them what the word father really meant. Because to me, that wasn't a great word. That wasn't something that was safe to me. That wasn't a word that really made me feel warm and fuzzy. So it wasn't really a word I passed on to my children to know. And that scared me just a little. And so fast forward a few years, we were married for 10 or 11 years. We were divorced. We've been divorced for 9 years. And it's not, it wasn't great on my part. I made choices that destroyed our marriage. That was on me. It does take 2 people to be married and 2 people to right some wrongs. And that just didn't happen. We didn't have that trust with each other enough to work on it, enough to move forward in a healthy direction. And I'm not saying it's my fault, but I do have to take ownership of the things that I have done. And I think that's that was a big step for me, and it didn't happen right away. Y'all, it took some years for me to be able to admit, hey, it takes 2 people to make a marriage, and it takes 2 people to make a relationship work. And I was not willing to do that. And so life went on. We had joint custody of our children. I had my kids for a few days. He would have them for a few days. We did every couple of days, back and forth, and it was all wonderful. I thought I had my whole life under control, and it was fantastic. The company I worked for, I slowly worked my way up, got promoted. I thought I had everything under control because my boys were doing well. I was doing well. And it's something that when I look back, it's really, God was just calling me. Just come to me. And I was like, no, I'm going this way. I don't know what you got, but I don't know, so I'm going to go this way. And in hindsight, the things that I could have provided for my children in those moments is stuff that I wouldn't say I feel guilt about, because God doesn't give us shame. He doesn't give us guilt at all. But it's some conviction that you are responsible for these small little babies. And it's your job to teach them things. And so when I started attending Faith Promise, I was like, oh, dang, okay, I like this place. They've got some great values. It's a really great place for my kids to be around. There was good people. And so my kids started attending with me. They attended with a different church on the weeks they were with their dad, and they attended Faith Promise with me. And I just thought everything was perfect. Everything was great. I was just going along. About 4 years into attending Faith Promise, Leah Hines approached me and said, I need you to start serving. And I was like, you got the wrong girl. You got the wrong girl. You don't know what I've done. You don't know my past. You don't know the choices that I made. And she said, yeah, well, that doesn't matter. That's not who you are. So come on, bring it on. So I am a youth leader at Blunt, to right now, 10th grade girls, about to be 11th grade. They have been my girls, and I will call them my girls forever. But they have been my girls since they were in 8th grade. And as I was leading these girls, again, I'm just going to reiterate, I thought I had my whole life together. I thought that I had been doing all these great things, and that I was doing the things God wanted me to do, but I wasn't fully receiving what God had for me. I was just doing like things on the outside, and trust me when I say I love those girls with my entire heart. I would die for them, literally. They are my girls. But I wasn't doing things to better myself in order to be strong for those girls. And so I was making choices in the dark, outside the scope of what people could see. Like, I went to church on Sundays, I served on Wednesdays, and I was just doing great. And meanwhile, the enemy's whispering to me, do you remember your past? Do you remember those things you did? Do you remember that it's so easy to just keep doing them? And so the enemy just really kept working on me over and over and over again. As we know, he hates to give up, and he won't give up. So, like I said, so with my job, I had been promoted, so I thought that, that meant I was successful. I was leading these children, and I thought I was successful. And then fall of 2019, I started hanging out with people who had been my friends off and on for 3 or 4 years. And I started making some not great choices. And I slowly just started to feel dark. Like, darkness started to really just set in. And I have a wonderful friend, Leah Hines, who said, hey, are you okay? And I was like, sure, yes, I am. I am great. Why would you ask? And she's like, just let me know. Just let me know if you're okay. And I said, no, I'm good. And as December came along, and then January of 2020, I started to not be good, even more not good. But on the outside, I was still going to church. Corona hadn't hit yet. We were getting ready to celebrate the 25th anniversary here, and it was like so exciting, and I'm going to serve, and I was babysitting or watching kids in kids care, and it was just great. And Leah Hines, about every 2 weeks, said, are you good? Are you sure? Because if you're not good, you need to tell me. I'm here for you. but you got to tell me. And I said, no, it's good. It's totally fine. I don't even know what you're talking about. So then March of 2020 hit, and we all got sent home, and we were isolated. Now, I did have an 18-year-old son at home, but if you know anything about 18-year-old boys, they do not care what their mother is doing, period. They want you to leave them alone. They don't want anything to do with you. And he was just trying to graduate high school. He had 2 months till he graduated high school, and that's really all he cared about. And so I got to do whatever I wanted. So I got to make choices that did not, that were not good for me. They just weren't. They were making everything so dark. I couldn't see light. I had somebody speaking to me, telling me that my past does matter, that the choices I made do define who I am. The things that I have said, seen, done will forever be my story, and that's all that my story would be. And they told me I was not good enough to serve in students, that my past marked me as somebody who could not lead teenage girls because I was a poor example. And in the middle of May of 2020, I called Leah Hines. I said, hey, I need to meet with you. And she's like, oh, good, because I was about to call you and say you have no choice than to tell me what's going on. Because something is going on. And if y'all don't have a Leah Hines in your life, you need a Leah Hines in your life. And so I sat with her at the Blount campus. We sat upstairs in the little cushy little room upstairs. And I told her, I said, yeah, I think I'm going to quit students. I think I'm not going to serve anymore. This person has been telling me I am not good enough, and I believe them. I'm fairly certain that the things that they have said are absolutely true. And she's like, yeah, that's a lie. That is not who you are. You are chosen. You are forgiven. You are redeemed. And she said those things to me, and I said, no, I don't think so. I really don't think so. The enemy was working overtime for me. So then May 21st, evening of May 21st, 2020, I was sexually assaulted by that same person who was telling me those lies. I was held against my will, was not allowed to leave until they deemed it necessary. And I remember going home at 4 a.m., and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. The darkness was so great that I could not see anything. I could not see light. I could not see 2 feet in front of me. And it was, it's so hard to describe the feeling of alone and the feeling of darkness that was there. But at 8 o'clock in the morning, I did not sleep. At 8 o'clock, I text Leah, and I said, hey, I need to talk to you. I need you. And she said, is that something that we can just talk about over the phone? I said, no, it has to be face-to-face. Has to be. So I told her. We met in the parking lot of Old Navy in Turkey Creek. And I told her what had happened to me. I told her probably details she didn't want to know. But I told her the extent of everything that had happened to me that night. And she said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But we're gonna get through this. She says, I'm going to be right here. And just a tiny bit of light was in my darkness all of a sudden. I could see a little itty bitty speckle of light. And she suggested that I call, our company has a programs called Employee Assistance, and they pay for us to have emergency counseling and things like that. So I called them, and it was Memorial Day weekend, and it was a Friday of Memorial Day weekend, and they're like, cool, we're going to love to help you, and here's a crisis number you can call, but it's probably going to be next week before we can get you with anybody. And I was like, that's okay. It's okay. We're just going to roll with it. But what they didn't know is that I had a Leah Hines. And I had somebody who, if I called them, they answered the phone. If I text them, they answered the phone. And if I needed something, they were there. I got to eat dinner at her mom's house. I can't even tell you how many times, because she's like, oh, it's Sunday afternoon. Come on, you're coming with us. You're not going to be by yourself. You're not going to be alone. And she didn't let me be alone. And I'm just going to tell you, God knew I needed Leah Hines before I ever even knew I needed Leah Hines. He put people around me that I didn't even realize were going to be my people. I had no clue. So I told Leah a few days later, I said, hey, we need to get Rachel Stevens involved. I said, I don't know why, but the Holy Spirit is telling me that we need to get her involved. So a week later, we met with Rachel, and she said, okay, tell me. So I told her. And I said, I feel like I let God down. The choices I made, I abandoned God. So he's going to turn his back on me. And she called out my nonsense right there in that room, and she says, that is absolutely not true. He will not turn his back on you. And she gave me the analogy of, me as a mother, just because my children mess up doesn't mean that I love them any less. It doesn't mean that he will love me any less for the choices that I make. And so it got a little bit lighter. She spoke life into me when I couldn't see I couldn't see it. I had started attending therapy 3 days a week. And it was something that I didn't sugarcoat it. I put it all out there. I said, this is what it is, and I need to fix it. I need help. And the biggest thing that has come out of this is I thought that I could be strong. I don't need people to help me. I don't need people, period. I'm not going to trust you. I'm not going to depend on you. You will let me down. I'm just going to do it all myself. And God has showed me over and over and over and over and over again that is not the case. That these people that I have around me will always, forever be there, and I can trust them. In those first couple of weeks, I had a little tiny baby bubble of people that I could trust. I had Leah Hines, I had Rachel Stevens, and I had Deanna, because Rachel introduced me to Deanna and said, hey, this is a powerful prayer person that you need to talk to. And I was like, okay, I'll try anything, because I'm fully surrendered at this point. Because when you're in the dark, there's nothing else you can do but reach up towards the light. Like, period. That's it. That's all I could do. So what these people told me to do is what I would do. The things that those people that God put in front of me spoke to me was truth, because he put them there. And so then I could trust them. So then Deanna told me, you should come to Celebrate. It's a place for some broken people. You can have any kind of brokenness, and you'll be welcome in this space. And I can say that I truly have felt welcomed in this space in the last 11 months, and that you people are awesome. To the point of, I couldn't talk to people when I first got here. I'm a fixer. I will ignore all of my own trash in order to deal with everybody else and fix them. And so for months, nobody talked to me, because that was a boundary I set, and everybody was very accommodating to it. I told Corey from the beginning, I can't. And he says, that's okay, perfect. You get to be who you need to be in this space. And it has been such a loving, welcoming space. And then God said, okay, you're ready. You're ready to get back out there. You're ready to start serving in students again. Because we had been in quarantine, and we weren't even meeting face-to-face with students. And so he told me in July, middle of July, it's go time. You're back at it. And little did I know when he told me that he was so right. That the things people had just spoke to me for a month and a half were the things I would then need to speak into one of my students whose mother passed away a week before school started. And I got to say the same things to her that people said to me. People that tried to build me up and were there as a foundation for me, I got to be for her. Because God said, you're ready. Let's go. So over the next couple of months, I kept coming to Celebrate. I kept going to therapy. I still go to therapy. If y'all can go to therapy, please go to therapy. It is the greatest thing. I cannot tell you how great it is. My therapist is here. She's amazing. And then really the rest of my testimony is how God went before me in all these situations. My friend Hope is here. I was helping Hope launch a new location for their business last August, end of July, beginning of August 1st, I think. And I was at her business the opening day. We were so excited. Y'all, there was people everywhere. And it was 95 degrees, and it was awesome. It was so fun. And that person who assaulted me showed up. But Hope didn't know that. Nobody in that space knew anything. But God protected me because I was about to walk out the door and I saw that person through the window. So I could go in the laundry room, help do laundry, and just act like a crazy person obsessed with laundry while they were there. And Hope's sister-in-law was actually in there with me, and I said, I cannot go out there. There's somebody out there that I cannot see right now. And she is an amazing individual who has her own story. And she said, you don't have to tell me anything, I will help you. God made it so I didn't go walk out that door and see that person face to face. He made sure I was protected. He made sure I had somebody a complete stranger, who I'd only known for 12 hours, in a room with me to protect me and make sure the door wasn't open too far so they wouldn't see me. God also provided just a safe space. I joined Deanna's small group on Thursday nights. That is a safe space for me. I've never been part of a small group. I, again, thought I could do everything on my own, and I was like, I don't need a small group. Who needs a small group? They're just going to judge me for the things I've done, the things that I've said. And if you are not part of a small group, that is, just so you know, that's not true. That's not how it works. They love you. Period. Your small group will just open their arms to you and love you and help you through it and walk you through it. God put Deanna, who is a mighty prayer warrior, in front of me to help guide me. Because God's doing big things for me. I mean, y'all, you don't even understand the things that are going on, that God's doing great things for me, and I have somebody speaking to me all the time. And we'll call out the nonsense, like, hey, remember this? And if you don't have people in your life that are calling out your nonsense, you need to get them. You need to get in a group. You need to get people that you can trust around you. Now, my little bubble of people slowly started to get bigger. But I kept that bubble tight for a long time because I couldn't trust other people, because people I had trusted had hurt me. And then God said, but these people are safe. These people are safe. These Thursday night ladies are safe. My Wednesday during the day group ladies are safe. It's a safe space for you. And you get to be all that I have created you to be in that space. Also, something that has come from this is I wear this bracelet that Corey handed out, maybe one of the first 3-4 weeks I was here, and it says, I have a purpose. And I have a shirt on that says purpose, because God showed me my purpose in all of this. He showed me what I had to walk through that darkness to get to my purpose. And I can guarantee you my purpose will be to make sure that other females, other ladies, the girls I lead, the girls that I don't even lead yet, but that will continue to lead for eternity, know that they are worthy. That it doesn't matter what's happened to them. It doesn't matter what's been done to them. It doesn't matter the things they've said, seen, or done, that they are worthy of what God has for them, and they are worthy of what he has to give. Because God has so much to give each of us that I can't turn my back on my purpose now. Now that he's shown it to me, there's nothing I can do but move forward. And the people that I have around me, like my Blunt family that's right here, are people I didn't even know I needed, but God put them in front of me. He put them there for me to just be like, hey, hi, how are you? On a Sunday morning, to be the people that I can call when everything's dark. The people that I can then turn to and say, I don't know what to do, but I need you. And they say, okay, let's go. So God's going to have that for you. The biggest thing I will tell you is you have to listen to what he gives you. I, for a long time, didn't listen to what he was telling me. I have messages all the time for people. The Holy Spirit breathes all sorts of messages for people. And when I was in that dark space, I stopped listening to those messages. I stopped calling Leah Hines and saying, hey, Holy Spirit just told me this about Jason. 6 months prior, he had already told me Jason was going to be healed. So we don't even need to pray for it anymore because I've already done it. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't hearing it anymore. And I just thought, why? Why are you not speaking to me? Why are you not telling me the things that you've always told me? And as I was preparing this message, he says, I was telling you all along. You were not willing to listen to the things that I had to say. You were not willing to listen to the path I was trying to put you on. And now here you are. So here I am. This is me following my path that he has put me on, that my testimony and the story I have to share is for the people who need to hear it and know that they are worthy. And know the things that are done to them, that have been done and will be done, because let's be real, it's a cruel world out there. The things that will be done do not define who you are. And that's, at the end of the day, if I can tell that to just one person a day, then I am walking out my purpose. But I'm going to tell you, I already know it's way bigger than that. And I'm so excited to see what he has for me. Okay.